I really wanted my bedroom to feel like a really calm space and really serene, quite a personal space, I think. From the moment I set in and knew that a lot of the original features were in here, it became really exciting, and I sort of knew that it had the bones to become an amazing home. My bedroom and bathroom were initially two separate rooms. The bedroom part of my existing bedroom was actually a sitting room, and then my bathroom was a bedroom. I looked at lots of different options of entering the bedroom, and the reason why I wanted to enter through the bathroom was maximising the storage in our bedroom. We enter now through this arch that we created, and I kind of loved that aspect of looking through to the bay window with the big light hanging above. Again, it's like thinking about a space and how you are going to use it. And if it means that it was going to allow for me to have a slightly bigger bedroom and more storage, that, I was willing to take that compromise almost. I love the proportions and the scale of the room, and it's very light naturally. We're gonna have the storage the full length of this wall. It's literally just gonna fit right in here. We've removed the old chimney breast, again, to just maximize the storage. I'm quite a messy person, so if anything can be kept behind doors, it's much safer. When we moved here and we were designing the wardrobes, I knew I wanted to incorporate in this natural material, this cane. I think cane in cupboards adds sort of a really nice detail and something which otherwise is normally quite a block of wood. I took this reference of a kind of elongated diamond from a sort of, I think it was like a 1940s image I'd seen. And it sort of just adds a nice bit of detail because it fills the entire length of our wall. This is sort of where all my jackets and tops and trousers live. And having quite skinny, quite shallow shelves is really useful for like sunglasses and socks and scarves and all those things that you don't otherwise think of where to store. When we designed the cupboards, I always loved this idea of having a sort of sliding library rail. And only a few weeks ago did we get around to adding a ladder. And it works really well. It's not on wheels, but it's really easy to use, and you can kind of just slide it along. And the height still means that you can access the doors at the same time. So it's not storage for every day, but it's really accessible. I wanted the flooring in my bedroom and bathroom to be consistent, but rather than bringing in new flooring, we chose to reuse the existing wooden floor, which when we pulled up the old carpets, we discovered was in quite good condition. I sat here on the hottest day of the year with a wire brush and a bucket of soap and water, feeling a bit like Cinderella, scrubbing the floors, which was sort of the most exercise I've done in years. There's like the nice mixture between the floorboards, and I love the variations between them. It just feels very authentic. So these Made of Manor tiles I adored and really wanted to integrate them into the design, but I couldn't financially use them throughout the bathroom, so I've just used them on the very visible parts, taking up the least amount of space. So we've used them across the front of the shower and the bath, and then butted them up in line with the wooden floor. The wooden floor was actually lifted up and a protective layer was put underneath, so it was raised a little bit and just allowed them to be seamlessly together, which sort of allows for the wet area in the room. This bath surround is actually the same granite that is used on the worktops down in the kitchen. And it was sort of an offcut that we had left over, but also I really like the contrast with the pink walls and then these blue glazed cross tiles that we got, and I think it sort of works quite well together. I think it's important to sort of not get tunnel vision into having to always get stuff from the ultimate and the best. You know, in a bathroom, I think it's really nice to get nice taps and a nice shower head, and, you know, maybe spend your money on those elements and compromise on the bath itself. Ours is surrounded. I got a very cheap bath and a cheap shower tray that we created a sort of tiled step around, so you don't even really read it. So I was a little undecided about what colour to go for, and then the plaster that the builders applied dried, and I've been taken down a different path, and I'm now exploring loads of different routes to try and emulate this. So the walls are a pink called Plaster 3, which is from Paper and Paint Library. Is a kind of more of a lilac-y pink, which is a really pretty colour that doesn't feel too sugary sweet. I love having a pink room, and it's something that's kind of travelled with me in lots of different homes. So that was kind of very much a starting point. It changes throughout the day, and the morning light in there is really beautiful. It was a big question in these bay windows about whether to do curtains or blinds, and adding blinds was going to be significantly cheaper. I'd sort of settled on a Roman blind, but I love the idea of them sort of feeling very concise and uniformed across the 3 bay windows. But I couldn't find on the market anywhere a stripe that was wide enough. So I set about creating stripes of my own and marrying up 2 different tones of the same linen. And I had a very patient curtain maker who hemmed these together and created them so they sort of are all harmonious with these big, thick stripes. And I think the choice of my colouring, I really like this sort of mustard yellow colour mixed in with the softer, pinker walls. And I think along with the sort of the original floorboards that are a bit rustic, it all sort of marries up and is this balance that I quite often talk about that doesn't feel too much of one thing, basically. I wanted the joinery to sort of be really harmonious with the room, and I used one of my favourite prints, a Pierre Lemanache print on the headboard, and then I added a really lovely, heavy linen ladder stitch from Volga that sort of gives the sort of airy waftiness of a kind of holiday, I guess. It reminds me of a holiday. So this bed, I think, really sort of like brought the whole room together. And I'd sort of initially had an old bed that I'd had for a long time in here. And then I came across this on eBay, and it was covered in really hideous fabric. And then one of my sort of lockdown things to busy myself one weekend is I painted all these navy details, which I think just adds a little bit of something to it. I sort of always knew that I wanted to have a nice sofa in the window. I knew that I didn't need a dressing table, I didn't want a table. I wanted to have it quite low so you could get the full height of the window and not block any light coming in. I searched high and low and came across this rather original sofa, which is a sort of love seat almost, with this curve and, you know, echoing the arch, and it's this other shape breaking up all the lines. And it just sort of adds another print into the room. I think in a bathroom that more than ever, it's really nice to try and bring even a small piece that shouldn't traditionally be in there. It adds a bit of character. So this is an old bookshelf, like a lever bookshelf, that actually houses my linen and sort of toiletries that I lined with some fabric. And it actually literally fits in millimeters of its life, but it works so well there. This sink actually I came across very early on in the build when I actually hadn't really planned much, and I found it in an antique shop. It just really sung to me. It was really unique. I hadn't seen many of this style around. It's an old French vanity basin that I had to have all newly plumbed. But it becomes such a point in this room, and I really love it. I hadn't quite worked out what lights I wanted in the bathroom. My electrician on site wanted to wire these in. So I actually ended up doing a quick trip to IKEA and buying some sort of wall-mounted globes. And they were bought mid-building project because the builders needed some lights to test and we needed to check the height. So they were sort of plugged in really early on, just as very much a sort of temporary holding place that actually worked really well. They were always going to be a sort of short-term option until I found the right lights, but actually I ended up having them for about 2 years, until very recently I found a pair that I just loved, which were brass and rattan style. I've always hated cold bathrooms, so I made sure to get a big radiator in there. I think using a smart meter or thermostat can help you be more mindful about your energy use. I've got a bit of off-cut of Carrara marble which is mounted on the wall, and I've sort of turned it into, I guess, a bit of a sort of dressing table as such, and suddenly it becomes a bit of a thing, and the radiator then has a bit of importance rather than just being this sort of big black thing in the room. This chair is actually part of a pair, and the other friend is down in my sitting room. I bought these and recovered these when I lived in a different home, and they sat together in a sitting room. Actually, it's a really useful place to have a nice chair, and I actually often sit here or chuck clothes on it. I'm really pleased with how my bedroom and bathroom have turned out, and I think it's really important to go with your gut and to just do what feels intrinsically right to you and not always listen to what the doubters have to say. In the next episode, I'll be talking about the evolution of my garden.